In a world filled with noise, manipulation, and ego-driven people, standing firm in your peace becomes an act of power. The moment you begin to master your emotions, toxic people lose their control over you. They thrive on reaction, anger, fear, guilt, but when you stop feeding their chaos, they begin to fear your calm. Stoicism teaches us that true strength isn't loud or aggressive. It's silent, it's unshaken, it's the kind of power that doesn't need to announce itself, yet everyone feels it. Emotional intelligence gives you the clarity to see beyond words, beyond deceit, and into the intentions that hide behind masks. This video will guide you through 7 behaviors that make toxic people fear you, not because you fight them, but because you rise above them. Each of these behaviors comes from Stoic wisdom, the ancient art of mastering the self while the world loses its mind. So, as you listen, remember this: power isn't about control. It's about calm. And if you want to continue learning how to become untouchable through Stoic wisdom, subscribe to this channel, because every video here will help you evolve into someone who cannot be manipulated, broken, or emotionally enslaved. 1. The power of emotional detachment. The first behavior that makes toxic people fear you is emotional detachment. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop reacting. Toxic people feed on your emotional energy. They want your anger, your frustration, your guilt, because your reaction fuels their sense of control. When you learn to detach emotionally, you become like water, calm, fluid, untouchable. You stop giving them the drama they crave. You observe instead of react. You think instead of explode. And that silence terrifies them. Seneca once said, "He who angers you, conquers you." When you master your emotions, you take back your power. You stop dancing to their tune. You stop explaining yourself endlessly. You let your calmness disturb their chaos. They'll call you cold, they'll call you distant. But in truth, they're simply scared, because they realize they can no longer control you. Stay with me, because what comes next will make you truly unshakable. 2. The strength of boundaries. Boundaries are the invisible lines that protect your peace. They're not walls to keep people out. They're shields that keep your energy sacred. Toxic people fear boundaries because boundaries expose them. They can only survive where they can manipulate freely, guilt trip easily, and control emotionally. When you set boundaries, you send a message: I respect myself. That statement alone weakens their power. The Stoics understood this deeply, that you cannot control how others behave, but you can control what you tolerate. A boundary is not an argument. It's a statement of self-worth. You don't need to shout it, defend it, or justify it. You simply enforce it. You stop answering texts that drain you. You stop explaining your every move. You stop showing up where you're not valued. Toxic people start to fear you because they realize their influence is fading. Their manipulative tactics stop working. Their words no longer sting. Their emotional hooks fall flat against your calm resolve. They'll test your limits. They'll call you selfish, arrogant, or detached. But remember, boundaries don't make you cruel. They make you clear. They make your world peaceful, ordered, and intentional. And that serenity, that quiet certainty, makes toxic people uncomfortable. Because while they live in chaos, you live in control. If this is resonating with you, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself that peace is not given, it's built. And if you want to continue mastering that inner power, subscribe to this channel, where every lesson helps you live above the noise, not inside it. 3. The calmness that breaks their power. Toxic people can argue with your words, but they can't argue with your silence. They fear calmness because it exposes their instability. When you stay calm in the face of provocation, you strip them of their weapon. They want you to react. They want you to raise your voice, defend yourself, justify your feelings. Because once you do, they've already won. They've drawn you into their emotional battlefield. But when you respond with calm, you flip the script. You make them face themselves. Your composure becomes a mirror, and what they see in it often terrifies them. Their own weakness, insecurity, and lack of control. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your calm is your weapon. Your silence is your strength. Your peace is your power. Calm people are not weak. They're dangerous. Because you cannot manipulate someone who doesn't need to prove anything. You cannot disturb someone who has made peace their identity. So, the next time someone tries to pull you into chaos, remember this. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to explain your peace to those addicted to drama. Your stillness is louder than their shouting. Your peace, more powerful than their rage. And when you master this, toxic people don't just avoid you, they fear you. Because you've become untouchable. 4. The power of indifference. There's something terrifying about a person who no longer needs validation. When you stop chasing approval, when you stop caring about who likes you or who misunderstands you, you become powerful beyond measure. Toxic people thrive on attention. They crave reaction, dependence, and the need to be needed. But when you cultivate the Stoic art of indifference, you take that power away. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." That's the secret. When you stop giving meaning to their insults, the judgment loses weight. When you stop giving attention to their drama, it fades into nothingness. Indifference is not coldness, it's freedom. It's saying, your opinion of me is your problem, not mine. It's walking away from manipulation without anger. It's refusing to be pulled into emotional quicksand. The toxic mind cannot survive where indifference exists. They depend on your emotional participation. They need your reaction to feel alive. But when you no longer care to play the game, they lose. The Stoics understood that peace begins where attachment ends. When you no longer attach your worth to external noise, the world's chaos can't touch you. So the next time someone tries to guilt you, shame you, or question your peace, remember this. You owe no one your reaction. You owe no one your energy. Silence and indifference are your armor. And when you walk in that quiet power, Toxic people start to fade like shadows in sunlight, unable to survive in the brightness of your calm. If you're feeling the transformation within you, don't stop here. Subscribe to this channel to continue learning how to move like the Stoics, calm, grounded, and emotionally unshakable. 5. The art of self-control. Control is not about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself. The most feared people are not the loudest or the most intimidating. They're the ones who have complete control over their emotions, their impulses, and their energy. Toxic people fear those who cannot be provoked. They fear those who don't respond instantly. They fear those who think before they speak. Because emotional self-control makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability terrifies manipulators. They can't read you. They can't push your buttons. They can't anticipate your next move. In Stoicism, self-control is the foundation of wisdom. It's the ability to pause before reacting, to observe before judging, and to act with intention rather than emotion. When you master self-control, you no longer waste your peace on meaningless conflicts. You don't chase validation. You don't beg for understanding. You move with purpose, not pressure. And here's what happens. Toxic people start to avoid you, because your stability makes them confront their own chaos. You become a mirror reflecting what they can't control, themselves. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." So control your emotions, control your focus, control your time, because the one who controls himself controls everything. If you want to continue mastering this art, to become so emotionally centered that no one can shake you, subscribe to this channel now. Here, we grow stronger, wiser, and calmer, one Stoic truth at a time. 6. The discipline of silence. There is a certain kind of silence that makes people uneasy, especially toxic ones. It's not the silence of weakness, but of wisdom. It's the silence that comes from knowing you don't need to respond to everything, or everyone. Toxic people fear silence because silence exposes them. When you stop defending yourself, when you stop explaining and just watch, they crumble under the weight of their own words. In a world addicted to reaction, silence is rebellion. The Stoics mastered it. They understood that wisdom isn't proven through endless arguments, but through presence, through restraint. When someone attacks you with words, and you choose silence, that's not avoidance. That's dominance. You're telling them, you no longer have the power to disturb my peace. Seneca once said, "Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings." And he was right. Every time you refuse to argue, every time you choose calm over chaos, you rise above the battlefield of the weak. Silence makes them doubt themselves. It makes them question their control. It makes them feel powerless, because you've taken away what they wanted most, your reaction. So be the quiet storm. Let your silence speak volumes. Let your calm presence expose the noise of others. And when you walk in this kind of power, remember, your peace will irritate those who live in drama. But let them drown in their noise. You'll move in silence, with grace, with purpose, with mastery. If this truth resonates with you, remember to subscribe, Because here, we don't just talk Stoicism, we live it. 7. The unshakable confidence of self-mastery. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's not loud or flashy. It's the quiet knowing that you are enough, and that nothing outside of you can define your worth. Toxic people fear confident souls because they can't manipulate what they can't control. They can't shame you. They can't guilt you. They can't twist your emotions when you already know who you are. Stoicism teaches that self-mastery begins with self-knowledge. When you understand your emotions, your values, and your purpose, you no longer live for approval. You no longer explain your peace. You no longer chase acceptance. Confidence comes from integrity, from living in alignment with what you believe, not what others expect. And that level of self-mastery is terrifying to those who live through deception. They'll try to discredit you, to gossip about you, to test your calm. But remember, lions don't turn when small dogs bark. You stay steady, you stay grounded, you stay free, because the more you master yourself, the less the world can move you. Confidence is not loud, it's peaceful. It's not boastful, it's centered. It's not pride, it's presence. And when toxic people see that you no longer need to prove yourself, they realize you've become something they can't touch, something powerful, divine, and entirely free. Final Stoic closing message. Remember this. Toxic people don't fear your anger. They fear your evolution. They fear your silence, your calm, your confidence, your boundaries, and your indifference. Because when you rise above manipulation, you take away the only weapon they ever had, control. So, walk through the world like a Stoic, unbothered, focused, grounded. Let people talk. Let them misunderstand. Let them project. You stay in your lane. You stay in your peace. Because peace is the highest form of power. And when you learn to master your emotions, no one, and I mean no one, can ever have power over you again. If this message touched something within you, don't just scroll away. Subscribe to this channel right now. Join thousands of others on this journey of emotional strength, Stoic wisdom, and unshakable inner peace. Every week, we dive deep into how to think like a Stoic, live with emotional intelligence, and rise above every toxic pattern that once held you down. This is your moment. Become untouchable. Become unshakable. Become who you were always meant to be, because when you rise, the world takes notice, and toxic people, they simply fade into the background where they belong.